Hello and welcome to my channel where I share bits and pieces of my experience working as a remote IT consultant and developer. In this video, we will discuss about Docker. So what is Docker? Docker is an open source platform to package an application and its dependencies into a Docker container for development and deployment of software. It's an open source engine to commoditize Linux containers. It allows the creation and sharing of images. Here are the benefits of containers. Containers have no external dependency for applications to run. Since containers are lightweight, they are easily shipped or deployed to other computers and get executed on its environment regardless of their host operating system. Data volumes can be shared and reused among multiple containers. Containers run application in isolation and also share the OS kernel with other containers. Now, what is a Docker container? A Docker container is an executable software package that includes all dependencies, the frameworks, libraries required to execute an application. With Docker containers, applications can work efficiently in different environments. So it's very useful if you have a team of developer, QA, and production. A Docker container application runs in isolation. It occupies less space. It is lightweight, secure, portable, and it has a short boot up time. Creating a Docker container. Docker file creates a Docker image using the build command, which we will show later. A Docker image contains all of the project code. With Docker image, code is executed to create Docker containers. Here is the Docker architecture. Basically, we have the client and the host. Docker host running on the host machine or your local PC or laptop, and then we have the registry, which is it could be a remote server where we can upload the image that can be consumed or used or pulled publicly. Later on, we will discuss how this diagram works, and here are some of the most common Docker commands that we will run through in this exercise. So let's start with Docker. I'm running an Oracle VirtualBox to have a Linux environment on my Windows machine. Now let's start with the Docker command itself. So this is the client. When we type any command in Docker, what happens is that it forwards the request, it sends the request via REST to the Docker host. And I think it's good to remember that if you has just started to learn Docker, you can always check what available commands are by executing the command Docker. So here are the list of all the commands that we can execute with Docker. Then let's start with Docker image. By executing Docker image, it lists all the available images in our local Docker host image registry. Let's try that. Since this is our first time running this environment, Docker images return a null list, or we don't have any image in our local registry yet. Now let's try running an image by executing the Docker run command. So if you don't know what Docker run does, just type Docker run and add the help parameter. So here are all the parameters and the explanation of what Docker run does. It runs an image. So let's start by running the Docker run hello world image. So what happens here when we execute the Docker run? As we can see, unable to find image locally. First, when we execute the Docker run, going back to this Docker architecture, it checks if an hello world image is registered in our local image registry. If the image is not found, it will pull from the external image registry. In this case, it's the Docker Hub. Like this. So the image is not found here. Go to Docker Hub, which is a public Docker image repository, and fetch that image. If you go to Docker Hub and search for hello world, you will find that image. It will be downloaded to the local image registry, and it will be run as a container. That's why we have this log here. Now, if we check the Docker images, we should be able to see the hello world image that we have downloaded from the Docker Hub or a remote image repository. Basically, Docker Run is a combination of two commands. It's Docker create and Docker start. So let's try deleting this hello world image, and we will try running Docker create and Docker start. So to delete this image, we must know the repository or the image ID and run Docker RMI or remove image, and then copy the image ID and paste it. So if we run Docker images again, we should not be able to see the hello world image. Now let's try the other set of commands. Docker create hello world. Docker create will just create a container from the hello world image. Since the hello world does not exist in our local image registry, it will be pulled from the Docker Hub image registry. So if we check Docker images again, we should be able to see the hello world, and if we run Docker ps a, it should give us a created container. But note that we haven't run this container yet. That's why its status is created. So what happened when we run Docker create is that it pulls the hello world image from the remote Docker registry and register it into our local image registry. And then it creates a container in the container space. That's why its status is created. So it hasn't run yet. To run it, let's execute the command Docker start. Again, if you don't know what Docker start does, just add the health parameters and it will tell us that Docker start one or more stop containers. So first, let's check the container ID by running Docker ps-a, and then Docker start this container ID. So the status is created. Docker start. So the Docker container has started, but we didn't see the log, and this is why that is. So again, let's check the Docker ps-a. We can see here that the hello world container has already exited. And if we wanted to view the logs, we can execute the command Docker logs and the container ID. So here is the log of that container that just ran and exited. Take note, the command is Docker logs container ID. Now, what if we want to view the logs after we run the application? We can also do that by running Docker start. So let's see. Docker start has an attached parameter which attach the standard input output and forwards it to the host. So this just means that whatever logs we got from the container that is running will be forwarded to our screen. So let's try that. Docker start, append, and the container ID. There, we have the log in our local terminal. So because of the -a parameter or append, the logs from the running container has been forwarded to our local terminal or the host terminal. Now let's check the next series of commands that we can experiment the stop and the kill. But to be able to run them, we need a running container. And we can do that by running the BCBox container or BCBox image. BCBox is actually an image that contains a set of Linux tools inside. So for example, let's run traceroute google.com. And we should be able to see the traceroute log. So this BCBox does not exist into our local registry. That's why it is being downloaded from the remote registry. And this is the traceroute logs. And by the way, while this container is running, we can see it by running docker ps. So here is a list of all the running images. Now if we wanted to stop this, we can do so by running docker stop and get the container ID that we got from running docker ps, paste it, and run docker stop. So there are two ways to stop a container, docker stop and docker kill. The difference is that docker stop sends the stop signal to the container. It does not kill or it does not stop the container immediately. It sends the signal to the application to stop. So it can do proper garbage collection. Here we can see that the running container has been stopped. Let's try again with docker kill. So docker run traceroute. And we can check if the container is already running by running the docker ps command. So here we have the container ID of the command that we have executed here. And if we want to view the log of this container, we can do so by running docker logs and the container ID. So here is the log. And then if we wanted to kill it, we execute the docker kill command. So it's still running. After execution, we can see that it immediately stops. And the next command that we will take a look is docker exec. Docker exec allows us to execute a command inside a running container. Again, let's run the BCBox, and this time let's try ping so that it will not stop the container for a long time. So the container will run forever in this case unless we stop it. And then let's check the list of running container by running the docker ps command. And here we have the BCBox, and this is the command that we have executed. Now if we go back to this Docker architecture, we can see that we can start any number of containers from a given image. So this is useful when you are testing and you want to test two versions of your application. You can do so by running your application or services in different ports. So in this case, I have executed a docker run ping command, and this is the container ID. If I wanted to, I can execute another docker run busybox ping google.com. It will create another container, and then if you run docker ps, we will see that there are two instances of the busybox command running with the same command. So we can pass a different command here. For example, we can pass a traceroute command or ls. Okay, going back to the command that we wanted to execute, it's docker exec. But before that, let's stop the second instance that we started. And then let's run docker exec. So what does this command do? It ran a command in a running container. And we can see that there are some parameters that we can use. Interactive, so that we can execute a command in the standard in, and TTY to format the text that we can see from the command line. So let's try running docker exec -it using the I and the T parameter, and then the container ID and the command that we wanted to execute. So let's say we wanted to execute sh, and now we are inside the instance of the docker image running. So this is the docker container. Who am I? So here the user is root, and if we wanted to take a look at the folder structure, we can see that this is a Linux environment. Okay, I don't think this Linux instance has lsb release command. I think it's CentOS. And I think that's it. We cover some of the most basic or commonly used docker commands build. We will discuss about it in the next video when we start creating a docker file. And I hope you learned something from this video. If you do, please do like my video and share it so that other developers will also learn what docker is. And if you haven't done so, do subscribe to my channel to get notified when I upload new programming related videos. So see you in my next video.